Two naughty elves standing side by side. They step to the front and to the back and go from the left to the right. They spin around and drop to the ground, kicking their legs as they move all around. Their heads touching, they move around in a circle on their hands and feet. One rolls over the other one's back and they land nice and neat. One does a handstand while balancing on the other one's back. Their breakdance moves are so cool, they deserve a clap. Stood side by side, they pass a present between each other. One moves robotically before he passes it to the other. The other grabs it and swirls it from high to low. He swings it around his head and passes it back for the other to have a go. A toy elf sits in a black chair next to a Christmas tree. He turns into a real elf, does a forwards roll, and then balances on one hand for everyone to see. The other elf grabs a present and shakes it from side to side. He rolls it down his body and then he shakes it to the left and shakes it to his right. He swirls from side to side and places it to the other elf now, who grabs a handful of sweets, munch, munch, munch. It must be his dinner time now. The other elf jumps high into the air into a handstand and then bounces back onto his feet. He bounces into a handstand again. He does it repeatedly. Crouched to the floor, the other elf flicks his legs out and in. He gets told off by the bigger elf, who's waving his finger back and forth at him. The upset smaller elf walks away. The cheeky bigger elf picks up the smaller elf's sweets. He sits in his seat and kicks his legs in the air, moving his big old elf feet. On the floor, the smaller elf is being rolled up in giant wrapping paper. The bigger elf is kicking him along using his feet. Now we see the little elf sitting in the seat. The toy elf is peeping over his shoulder from side to side. The big elf is spinning on his head, look at him glide. The little elf flips up from the floor and lands on his feet, then jumps backwards onto his hands with his legs in the air. He's flexy like a rubber band. Holding a present, he balances on one hand. He gives it a shake. He then gives it a knock to see what's inside. The other elf grabs it too. What could it be? And we now see the bigger elf jump and lands in the tree. He transforms into a toy. It's Christmas time, so let's spread some joy.